Yeah, yeah. A Samaritan. Samaritan of all people. No, no, I couldn't believe it. Came into my inn, bold as brass. Well, I was going to kick him out, but then I realised he had somebody with him. He was holding this guy up. No, 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 not another Samaritan. It was one of our lot. It looks like he's taken a right old beating. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He asked for a room. Well, I could hardly do that, could I? I couldn't turn him away under the circumstances, but I gave him that room at the end of the corridor where no one can see him. No, no, he didn't leave. He's been there all night looking after this guy. Yeah, he came down this morning. He gave me some money. He gave me £800. I mean, he said this should be enough to look after him for the next couple of weeks. But I've got to leave now. I've got some business to do. But I'll come back on the way back. And if I'm owed anything, he's going to settle up. Yeah, he left. Well, I hope so. I hope he comes back and pays. It's going to cost me a lot of money otherwise. But you know what? I think I can trust him. Yeah, a Samaritan of all people. Look, sorry, I'm going to have to go now. I've got customers to look after. Yeah, yeah. Okay. See ya. Take care. Bye. Hi. Welcome to the big story. If you hadn't already guessed, we're going to look at another one of Jesus' stories this week. This time, it's the story of the Good Samaritan. Jesus was talking to a group of people, and one of them there stood up. He was a religious leader, a teacher of the law, and he wanted to test Jesus. He said, "Jesus, what must I do to get eternal life?" Well, straight away, Jesus turned the question round on him and said, "Well, you tell me, what does it say in the law?" And the religious leader thought about it and said, "Well, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. And the other one being love your neighbour as you love yourself." "Well done," said Jesus. "You've answered well. Do that and you will live." Now, the religious leader didn't quite like how this had been going. It had all been turned round on him. So to make himself look good, he came back with another question. "Yes, but Jesus, who is my neighbour?" Well, to help him and to help the other people who were listening to what was going on, Jesus told this story. So there's this man, and he's walking down the road from the city of Jerusalem to Jericho. Now, as soon as Jesus said that, everybody who was listening to the story would have been thinking, "Oh, this isn't going to be good." You see, this road is about 14 miles long, and it snakes through the mountains. And in the mountains are caves, and in the caves are robbers and bandits. Nobody walked down that road on their own. You always went in a group for protection. But in this story, this man is walking down the road on his own. And sure enough, out jump the robbers, and they attack him, they beat him up, they take everything he has, and they leave him lying on the road unconscious, half dead. A little while later, along comes a priest. He's travelling to Jerusalem to serve in the temple. And when he sees the man, he's got a bit of a problem. You see, if somebody is half dead, you don't know if they're dead or alive unless you get up close. You've got to turn them over, you've got to get down and see if they're breathing, you've got to check their pulse. Now, if this priest touched this man and he's dead, the law says he becomes unclean and he's not going to be able to do his important job at the temple. So he decides not to risk it, and he walks by on the other side of the road. A little while later, along comes a Levite. He too works at the temple. He helps people worship and he assists the priests. And he's got exactly the same problem. If he touches this man and he's dead, he too is going to become unclean and he can't do his job. So like the priest, he too passes by on the other side of the road. A third man comes along, and this time it is a Samaritan. Now, everyone would have been listening, would have gone, "Ooh," because the Samaritan is the baddie. Jews and Samaritans absolutely hated each other. They loathed each other. They went to war with each other. They fought with each other. This isn't going to end good. But to everyone's amazement, it's the Samaritan who stops and helps the man. He checks him out and he realizes he's alive. So he goes and gets some wine, And he uses this to clean up the man's cuts and scratches. And then he gets some olive oil. Now, these days, olive oil tends to be used for cooking, but olive oil used to be used as a medicine. It's very soothing for scratches and cuts. And then he went and got his own shirt, and he would have just torn it up into bandages. Binding the man up, he then put him on his own donkey and took him to an inn where he looks after him. In the morning he comes down and he says to the innkeeper, "Here is enough money to look after him for 2 weeks. I've got to go and do some business, but I promise you, when I come back, I'll check in and I'll pay you anything you are owed." Now, when Jesus finished telling this story, he turned to the teacher of the law and said, "Now, which one was the neighbour?" Now, the teacher hated Samaritans so much he couldn't even bring himself to say the word. Instead, he said begrudgingly, "Well, it's the one who stopped and helped him." "Correct," said Jesus. "Now go and do the same." We started with a teacher asking Jesus a very important question. What must I do to live forever? And Jesus made him find the answer for himself, which was to love God and to love his neighbour. But I don't think the teacher quite liked the sound of that. It's one thing to show love to your friends and your family, but what about other people? Jesus made him think again. The neighbour isn't just the ones that we like. Neighbours mean everybody. And that means showing love to people that we don't like. That's what true love is. True love shows kindness and compassion and mercy to all people, no matter what. A very easy answer, really. But sometimes the easiest answers are the hardest to do. Where do we get this love from? Well, I'd like to finish again by saying a prayer. If you want to, you can close your eyes, and at the end you can say Amen, which is another way of joining in and saying, yeah, that's my prayer as well. Dear Lord, again, I thank you that you love us so much. I thank you that everybody is special to you and you love people no matter what. Help us again to have that same kind of love in our hearts, that we show love and kindness and compassion to all people. Not just friends, but to enemies as well. Amen. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you again soon.